Everyone. Good morning. I'm Ted Murmagos, Division Director here at the Division of Child Support Services in the state of Delaware. Good morning, everyone. This is Ted Murmagos. I'm the Division Director here at the Delaware Division of Child Support Services, and I'd like to welcome you to our Facebook Live event. The plan is to have the events. We're going to try to do these live events the first Monday of every month, and from the time from about 11:30 to 12:30, so that we can share valuable information about the child support program here in the state of Delaware, and most importantly, to answer any questions that you may have about child support in general, or about how we would handle various aspects of a person's child support case. I'd like to take some time and really talk a little bit about Delaware's child support program, where you can find us, how you can get a hold of us, if you're in need of services. So in the state of Delaware, we have 3 offices, one in each county. Here in the Newcastle County office, we're located in Newcastle, just about a mile west of 13 on Route 273, also known as Christiana Road. We're located in the large building that's on the right if you're coming from Route 13. And we're located right next door to one of our department sister agencies, the Division of Social Services. In Kent County, we're located at 905 South Governors Avenue, and that office, we're on the 2nd floor, and we're about a mile south of Kent General Hospital on South Governors Avenue. And in Sussex County, we're located on Route 113, just across from the shopping plaza that has the Walmart in it, and we're located in the Georgetown Office Professional Park. So we have 3 offices here in the state. If you have a question for us, the best way to get a hold of us right now is through our customer service telephone number, and that is 302-577-7171. And we are really encouraging people to, rather than just come to our offices right now during the declared state of emergency because of the pandemic, we're encouraging people really to call us first, because we want to try to resolve as many questions and concerns over the telephone. And the customer service child support specialist can actually schedule an appointment to come into one of our offices if it's absolutely necessary. The one thing that I want people to know is this: if the family court in the state says that you have to make a purge payment to avoid being incarcerated, it shouldn't really be happening now during the pandemic, but if there is a need to make a court-ordered lump sum payment, a purge payment at one of our child support offices, you could certainly come and do that, and we want you to do that. But we would like you to call our customer service unit first, and we will coordinate that with our office. I'm also hearing that people are coming to our offices looking for account statements and that kind of thing. We certainly want to try to accommodate that also. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how you can get some of those resources. If you have a computer and a printer at home, we do have ways through our customer website that you could actually print those things from home and actually get that information. The point that I'm trying to make is it's important to call the customer service unit at 302-577-7171 to make an appointment to come to our child support offices. I'm seeing that there's some questions, and I was going to go ahead and answer some of the questions and then tell you a little bit more about our division. So one of the questions that we did have come into our Facebook page, and we appreciate that, is a current client says, my ex-husband doesn't pay child support and has a capias or has had multiple capiases for not paying child support. So she cannot take him back to family court. She's also saying that the Delaware State Police will not go to his residence to arrest him, and it's been over 4 years. She also wanted information about how she can receive food stamps or the SNAP benefits here in the state. So let's first talk about family court capiases. In the state of Delaware, the family court can issue a family court capias, which is like a bench warrant. And those bench warrants are normally issued against non-custodial parents who do not show for a court hearing or do not attend court-ordered genetic testing or something of that nature. So the courts will issue a capias for someone's arrest. It's a civil bench warrant. And so if the courts issue a capias because someone didn't show up for a court hearing, that court hearing, as far as the family court is concerned, that petition that created that family court hearing is still open. And the courts, once that individual is picked up on the capias, will schedule a new hearing to take place based off of that previous petition being filed. So sometimes custodial parents will call the child support office and ask, he's not making payments or she's not making payments, can you file a contempt petition or a petition with the family court? And if there is an active capias still open, that previous petition has not been resolved. So we at the child support office cannot generate a new contempt petition or a new filing with the family court until that previous petition has been resolved and that previous court hearing has taken place. So the other question that was raised by this custodial parent is the Delaware State Police not being willing to go and arrest or pick the person up on a capias. We certainly try to work hard with working closely with the Delaware State Police or other police entities, but quite honestly, when we talk about family court capiases, the priority of the police departments here in the state of Delaware and other state agencies around the country may not be as a high priority when there's other crimes or other types of law enforcement activities to take place. We certainly at the Child Support Office want to be conscientious of the state police and other police agencies around the country, around the state of Delaware too, to understand that they've got a job to do to enforce the laws here in Delaware. And when there is an egregious situation, we try to work with the state police and other police entities to try and accomplish having someone be picked up on a capias or turned in on a capias. The one thing I try to tell non-custodial parents is this: if you have a capias on you, it's better to turn yourself into family court. And in most cases, not all cases, I can't commit to that, but I can commit to you this, that in most cases, the courts will not order that someone be incarcerated, but will say to that person, do you have a lump sum payment that you can maybe make on your child support case? Can you make that payment? The family court will also tell that non-custodial parent who turns themselves in, we're going to reschedule this court hearing, and you need to come to that hearing. I always try to encourage non-custodial parents, go to these hearings. Don't miss them. Try to do everything you can to show up to that hearing. So if you are a non-custodial parent with a capias, I'm strongly encouraging you to turn yourself into family court. Like I said, I can't guarantee you that they're not going to incarcerate, but it's really a small situation. And if you feel better calling the courts and asking them about your situation, I would recommend doing that. But 9 times out of 10, the court is going to say to you, We're going to reschedule the previous hearing, and you need to attend that hearing. So please try to turn yourself in. It's only going to expedite the process of getting yourself situated. That's another thing. I always try to tell people, if you can't avoid the child support program, you can't avoid your obligations. So it's better to try to work with the child support office, to work with the family court, turn yourself in on these KPSs, and if you can make a lump sum, that's going to even help in your any kind of a lump sum payment. It's going to help you in the long run to resolve that KPS and get on the right track to making regular payments. And we at the Child Support Office want to help you do that. So that's my bit of advice to non-custodial parents. Try to work with non-custodial parents, to try to work with the court, get KPSs resolved, and you'll find that if you turn yourself in, the courts will be more willing to work with you to resolve those issues. So I hope I was able to answer that question. So I'd like to also take an opportunity to talk a little bit about the child support program and some of the things we do here at Child Support. And one of the things I'm most proud of is in the past year, maybe about a year and a half or so, we updated our division's mission statement. I'm going to read that mission statement to you, and this mission statement really, I think, better describes what we do at Child Support and some of the things that we look forward to when we try to help families. It's really about trying to help custodial and non-custodial parents and their child and children try to be unified and working together. So it's our mission at the Division of Child Support Services to deliver quality customer support. We could say customer service, but it's really about customer support. By partnering with parents, we want to work with both parents, custodial, non-custodial parents, to improve the lives of their children together, and their families. It's so important that we work to try and unify families and get families to moms and dads and to work together. This is achieved through obtaining accurate child support orders to meet the financial, medical, and emotional needs to promote family self-sufficiency and the best outcomes for children. So that's our mission statement. And really that mission statement it's important for us as a state agency to provide a quality customer service to both parents to help benefit the child and the children involved. So we really want to work hard, and we really try to work hard to live by that mission here at the Child Support Office. One of the things that's also interesting, I think, the child support program here in Delaware and around the country, we just celebrated 45 years of being an agency. Child support was added to the Social Security Act in 1975. So child support, really in the grand scheme of things, hasn't been around very long, and we are trying to improve how we provide child support services to those we work with. And really, it's about partnering with parents for the best outcome for their children. And one of the things when we talk about customer service here at Child Support, we talk about being able to think a little bit outside of the box. When a non-custodial parent comes to us and says, I can't afford this child support order, or I can't make regular payments, or I'm not working, what can we do as a child support agency to get that person linked up with the Department of Labor, or with the unemployment office, or the employment and training unit at the Department of Labor, to find employment opportunities that can help them become self-sufficient, but also give them an opportunity to pay their child support orders. There's a saying around the child support community, it's kind of been around a while, but it's about when those child support orders are created, whether it's through the administrative process that some states use, or through the judicial process, like here in Delaware, where we involve the family court in that process. It's about right-sizing court orders. so that the non-custodial parent who has a child support order is being able to pay what they can afford based on the income that they're making. You know, one of the things that I always try to tell non-custodial parents is, just like I said, don't avoid letters from the child support office. When we ask you to call us or to come in and resolve a license suspension issue for that matter, and if you receive a notice from the family court, don't ignore these letters. Don't ignore a phone call from the child support office. We're calling you for a reason, or we're sending you a letter for a reason. So it's very important to open those letters, to read those letters, and call us or come into child support, and we're going to work with you. You know, one of the things I always try to stress to people, even if you have like we talked about, if you have a family court capias and you come to the child support office, no, there will never be a state trooper here waiting for you at a child support office. I am telling you that. You have my word on that. We will not be setting you up for a state trooper to come and have you arrested or have any of that kind of stuff. So you can come to the child support office. You can call our child support office. I'm telling you, just don't ignore child support, because we want to be there to help you. So I'm going to take another question. The next question is, how often do you train your employees on customer service or a refresher training? They went on to say they treat everyone like criminals with a lack of patience. So let's talk a little bit about our customer service unit. Our customer service unit here at Child Support is a 20 person child support specialist unit. Annually, and we also have an automated assistance line. That automated assistance line is available to callers calling in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. At Child Support, we get over 1 million telephone calls to that automated assistance line a year. Last year, when you called the automated assistance line, that number is 302-577-7171. Last year, about 83,000 individuals hit, I think it's number 5 on that automated assistance line, and actually spoke to a child support worker. The customer service unit here at Child Support is extremely busy, and I will give them credit. They do, I believe they do a great job at handling the influx of calls that come to our child support office. They deserve a lot of credit. With the added strain of the pandemic and our encouraging people to call our offices, we have the ability to extend those telephone lines by an additional 30 child support specialists being able to answer those phone calls. The customer service unit is extremely stressful. We do have an active training unit that works very hard on training all of our staff, all of our employees at Child Support. I ask that when you call Child Support, that you be patient and that you work with us. I'd also like to say this. If you're ever on hold to our Child Support customer service lines over 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I'm recommending that you hang up and call back. We monitor the influx of those telephone calls, and we are making sure that if calls extend beyond 20, 25 minutes, that we are adding callers to those telephone lines to make sure that we ease the burden. But we do try to work with training, diffusing hostile inquiries, diffusing hostile constituents, because sometimes they do take a lot of the brunt of callers that are calling in that may not be satisfied with some of the things we're doing at Child Support, or dissatisfaction over their current child support situation. So, we're encouraging people to be patient with us, and when we ask a question, or our customer service employees are asking you a question, it's best to just try to answer those questions so we can get to what your concerns are about your child support case, and we can take next action. So they are trained on how to diffuse hostile situations. They are trained on how to work through the child support system and answer specific child support questions and next step case processing questions. And they do work on providing quality customer service, but people need to really understand that working in that customer service unit can be stressful, and we try to give them enough breaks to ease that burden and to resolve and try to help the callers. I'm going to continue with some questions. The next question is, how are you guys still charging for daycare when there is no daycare right now? So, and similar, I think you are looking for, okay, so when we talk about child care expenses, the family court will look at some of that things when they're creating child support orders. Child support, the Division of Child Support Services, we obviously work with family court and we work on enforcing child support orders. Those orders are created at family court. We're a judicial state. So when they talk about daycare expenses, that's something that the family court will incorporate in child support orders. The one thing I would like to say is right now, during the pandemic, absolutely, things are different, a little bit different. But when you're in court today, the pandemic is, vaccines are coming. We certainly want, we don't want to have to burden people with having to go back to family court. So the family court is not going to change the child support calculation or the process right now, because at some point we're going to be back to normal. The situations are going to change. So they're still going to incorporate child care expenses and that kind of thing when they go and create child support obligations. So the next question is, if the absent parent or the non-custodial parent is on medical disability after the order is in place, does that mean they are off the hook for the remaining balance? If so, that's not a good practice, because the child will not get support from them. So if there's a court order in place and the non-custodial parent becomes disabled, the non-custodial parent should, this is a circumstance that would warrant a modification of the child support order. So the non-custodial parent should file with the family court for a modification, and the courts would look at all of the materials or the documentation that the non-custodial parent would bring into family court. Like I said, when there's court hearings, they're going to ask you to bring your documentation. And it's important to do that, to bring your documentation into family court. And the courts will make a ruling. And they may say, current support is revoked. The Social Security Administration is going to pay the child directly from the benefits, the disability benefits. But they will, in some cases, order that payment still be made on the arrears that have accrued prior to the disability. So they may make it an arrears only case and just expect that the child support arrears would be paid off. But it's truly up to the court to decide how they want to handle that situation. That's why it's important to bring that documentation to family court. And the courts will rule whether the arrears have to be paid and at what rate those arrears would be paid. So I have another question that I want to make sure I get to because it came in before we started the live event. Why is it hard to find a parent that is out of state, that's living out of state, when the Social Security has been given and the other parent has a support case in the other state? What can be done to help locate the non-custodial parent? And then the other question, kind of similar to that, is What happens after the respondent has been found out of state by the Child Support Office? How does Delaware enforce that case when the non-custodial parent lives somewhere else? So let's first talk about locate and when a non-custodial parent lives in another state. And it's going to kind of roll right into that next question. When a non-custodial parent moves to another state, we ask for valuable information: social security number, date of birth, does he have or she have any tattoos, what kind of car do they drive, is it licensed in the state of Delaware or in another state. We use that information in our child support system, and we run data matches. We run with local and state of Delaware agencies, and we also use and have resources at the federal level that will provide us locate information for people living in other jurisdictions. Is that information 100%? It's pretty good, but nothing is ever 100%. So once we get information through these data exchanges, we often have to verify that if the person is living in Pennsylvania or is living in New Jersey or Maryland, we use information to try to verify that a person is located at a specific address. Sometimes information we send out comes back that no, they don't live there, and sometimes they do live there. And if we have a child support order in the state of Delaware, we're able to enforce those orders in other states just by serving the non-custodial parent at that Pennsylvania address or at that Maryland address. But sometimes we have to use child support agencies in the state of Pennsylvania, and we set up an intergovernmental case. And we basically say to, for instance, Elkton, Maryland, we have a non-custodial parent that resides in your state. We would like you to create a case in the state of Maryland for our client that lives here in Delaware. And they will either take a Delaware order and register it in the state of Maryland, or if there's no order in place, they will go ahead and create a Maryland child support order on behalf of the Delaware client. So, we often, it's easier for us to be able to enforce Delaware orders with someone who lives in another state, if they're willing to come to Delaware for court hearings or call teleconference into the court. But when those efforts fail, we have to go to another state's jurisdiction and ask them to enforce that court order, the Delaware court order, or create a new court order in their state to help us enforce it. But we have tools, federal tools, state and local tools that help us locate people, but those tools are not always 100%. But they hopefully get us in the right direction. But we have to verify. We can't ask the state of Pennsylvania to enforce or create a court order just on the belief that we think someone lives at a certain address in their state. We have to verify it before we send it to their state to work. Just like they have to verify that someone lives in Delaware before they ask Delaware to create a case on their client's behalf. So locate tools, all the states have them, but they're not foolproof, and sometimes we have to take that extra step and go that extra mile to verify someone's physical address before we can go ahead and move forward. We can't, PO boxes, they don't work. It's got to be a physical address. So let's look at another question here. I know someone who owes over $50,000 in support, and he doesn't work and doesn't care how come, and the person doesn't care. How come they don't get picked up? So the only way, we talked a little bit about the CAPIAS, the family court CAPIAS process. And That would involve local police departments and that kind of thing. Someone who owes a large sum of money, we are always working to try, we're working as a child support agency to try and work with non-custodial parents. And one of the things that I try to tell people is this: if someone, like in this scenario, this client says, the person owes $50,000 in arrears. I mean, of course, $50,000 seems like a huge arrears balance. It is, and I'm not denying that. My thing to non-custodial parents is it's never too late to start. And that's why I encourage people to call the child support office and work with us, because we can. If you have an order that's too high, and we can tell you how to modify that order and get back into family court to do that. But it's never too start to make some kind of a child support payment and to make them on a regular basis. I know for custodial parents, they may not like hearing me say, look, if your order's $300 a month and you can make $200 a month, make the $200 a month, and then try to go into family court and have your order modified. I think as a custodial parent, you'd be willing to get $200 a month versus nothing. So, I always try to encourage non-custodial parents, if you can't pay what the court-ordered amount is, pay what you can pay and pay it regular. Make it every 2 weeks, every week. Make it every month. And I think if you start doing that, custodial parents will start to at least acknowledge, hey, his arrears or her arrears balances is really high, but they're trying to make an effort to make those payments. Now, when we talk about getting picked up, I mean, that's, like I said, if there's a family court capias, certainly the courts, the local law enforcement can get involved in picking non-custodial parents up. But I encourage non-custodial parents to turn themselves in when there's an active capias, because that will work to their benefit, and to start making payments on a regular basis. The next question is, are the courts accepting contempt petitions? Non-custodial parent has made 6 payments in 3 years. So when the pandemic started and non-custodial parents, and custodial parents for that matter, became unemployed, not at their own fault, but because of the pandemic, the courts and the child support program, we kind of worked together to talk about, child support maybe holding off on contempt petitions. We agreed that, we need non-custodial parents to obviously find employment. And we're working on trying to deal with modifications and working with trying to get new support orders created. The courts, let me speak for the child support program. We are treating contempt petitions, or the request for contempt petitions by custodial parents, on a case-by-case basis. And we are consulting with our attorneys at the Department of Justice on those case-by-case bases. So if for instance, the non-custodial parent is working and is not providing child support with a place of employment so we can issue a wage withholding, or is ignoring, or is not making those payments but is working, we certainly want you to call the child support office, speak to a worker, and we will consult with the Department of Justice and decide whether to generate a contempt petition. But if a non-custodial parent is paying, let me say this, if a non-custodial parent is paying right now and is paying something consistently and has a track record, we're probably not going to generate a contempt petition. But if they're working and not making payments, you can call child support, and we will look at those cases on a case-by-case basis and decide whether we're going to go ahead and generate a contempt petition with the family court. But I don't want to discourage people from not calling to let us look at the case, and we will certainly make that determination. Let's see. We get to the next question. You guys made me, okay, this is coming in from a non-custodial parent. You guys made me grow up. I paid off all my arrears and raised my child. My brother owes a lot though. Can you guys do a forgiveness for those who owe a lot? The Division of Child Support Services does not have the authority to forgive arrears that are owed to a custodial parent. Custodial parents are the ones that have the ability to forgive those arrears. On the flip side, if there are arrears owed to TANF, previous TANF arrears, that's temporary assistance to needy families, unfortunately, the state of Delaware, the child support does not have the authority to forgive those arrears either. We certainly, and any payments that come in, let me clarify this too, any payments that come in besides a tax offset, federal tax offset, and some other federal administrative programs at the federal level, any payments that come in first go to pay the current support owed to custodial parents, and then arrears owed to custodial parents. The state of Delaware is the last entity to receive a payment. So I certainly wish there was a way to forgive arrears, but right now there currently isn't anything on whether in Delaware code, in the law, that gives the authority to the child support program to do that. I certainly want to also acknowledge, before I move on to the next question, this individual who, it's about taking responsibility and paying your child support on a regular basis. And we certainly love to hear success stories of people who pay their child support, and we encourage people to do that. The next question: I moved here from New York. Do I need to apply for custody of my child? Her father is in New York. I would encourage this person to contact the family court. In Delaware, the child support program is only responsible for child support. So visitation issues, custody issues, domestic violence issues, divorce issues, really the family court is the entity that would deal with those issues. So I would strongly encourage this individual to call family court and ask to speak to someone in their resource unit, and they can help determine whether they need to file something at the family court. But custody and visitation, sometimes custody and visitation, divorce issues, they're kind of in child support all wrapped in together, but child support is really only involved in dealing with child support. So I encourage you to call family court. The next question is, I never received follow-up from my caseworker. So what I would do is this. I would encourage you, this is a good opportunity for me to talk a little bit about our customer website. We here at Child Support, if you go to our website, our main website for child support, and you can go and get to that through the state agencies tab at delaware.gov, state agencies tab, and look for child support services. On our website, there is a link to our customer website. And that will allow you to create a username and password and actually be able to communicate with your worker through a quasi email system. Now, I always like to let custodial and non-custodial parents know, because you both can create this access. It's a little bit cumbersome in the beginning because you have to come through the state's firewall. But once you create that username and password, you can communicate with your worker directly. You can, and I talked about this way earlier, if you want an account statement, you can print an account statement through this customer website. So I'm encouraging people, go check it out. If you have any problems creating that username and password, call our customer service unit. Someone there can walk you through the steps. That number is 302-577-7171. But you want to look for our customer website, That's found on our big website, the normal website, through de.gov, delaware.gov. I encourage you to do that. Our child support specialist should be returning calls within 72 hours, and if they're not, I encourage you to call back or check out our customer website. I think you'll find it very useful and give you some information that can help you get information from your child support worker. The next question is, how does the non-custodial parent get their license back after it's been suspended for their non-payment, but it impacts their job? So I wanted to let talking about our license suspension program, so in Delaware, if you have an arrears balance of $3,500 or more, and you have not made a payment of any kind in 30 days, we will send you a letter, non-custodial parent, that we're going to suspend your driver's license, your business license, a professional license, or a hunting and fishing license. If you get that letter, you have 20 days to contact our office. And if you contact our office within 20 days and make an arrangement to get your license back, the normal policy is a lump sum payment of 2 months worth of your child support order. And we will go ahead and, if you contact us within the first 20 days, if you can make that payment, we will not send the licensing agency a notice to suspend your license. But if you don't contact us and you don't make a lump sum payment, we will notify the licensing agency to suspend your license. So I encourage people, if you get that letter, I've already said it a little bit, call us because we will work with you. If you cannot make a lump sum payment of 2 months of your child support, we are trying to be flexible with non-custodial parents. And if you can make a good faith lump sum payment of some kind, our workers will go ahead and unsuspend your license. It's easier to contact us before that 20 days is up, because if you don't, we're going to suspend the license, and then you have to go to the DMV or to professional regulations and pay the fees that are owed to that agency also. So if you get to us before that window closes, we can work with you. Especially if you come to us and say, hey, I got a new job, but I need my license. We will work with you to get that license back. But we need to know, where are you working, so we can send a wage withholding to your employer, so we can start those automatic deductions to your paycheck. But we want to get some information from you, so don't contact us. And we, like I said, I can't say it enough. We will work with you. If you're a non-custodial parent and you've got some issues, call us, come to us. We'll help resolve those impacts. We don't want people, and then I'm going to go on to the next question. We don't want people to not get a job because we've suspended a driver's license or we suspended a professional license. So it's important to reach out to us so we can work with you. We want to be able to give you your license back. The next question is, it's not the face-to-face customer service, not online. It's not face-to-face customer service. So, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's being asked here. It's not the face-to-face customer service. Okay, so let me just talk a little bit about our customer service situation during the pandemic, and maybe that kind of addresses this concern. If not, send us a follow-up after the Facebook Live, and we'll certainly get back to you. So during the pandemic, we are continuing to require people to contact us first to see if we can resolve your child support question or concern by telephone. If we can't, and it's apparent you need to come to one of our 3 offices, we will schedule an appointment with you and to come to our office. When you come to our office, we're asking that people have a face covering. If you don't have a face covering, we will get you one. But it's important to make an appointment so we exactly know what's happening. We are also requiring temperature checks at our office, but definitely having a face mask and definitely calling us to make an appointment is the most important thing, because we want to make sure that we're continuing to make sure we're monitoring the flow of people coming in and out, and making sure that we can handle accommodating individuals looking for help. So if the non-custodial parent lives out of state, how is it enforced? I kind of touched on that already. I'll just touch real quickly one more time. If the non-custodial parent lives out of state, in normal cases, we ask in Delaware for that out-of-state child support agency to enforce either a Delaware court order or to create a court order in their state and then enforce that court order. They will enforce it just like it's a Delaware case. Issue a wage withholding to that employer. The employer sends them the payment. They send it to us, and we would send that payment to a client that lives in Delaware. So the out-of-state agency is enforcing those court orders just like we do for them, and we send payments to out-of-state agencies when the non-custodial parent lives in Delaware and the custodial parent lives in, say, the state of Pennsylvania, state of California. We work together with child support agencies all over the country, and we coordinate child support payments with them. Let's see here. Why is there a hold on the stimulus check payments from non-custodial parents 3 months on an open active case? So I'm glad you brought this up, because I wanted to mention something about the stimulus checks before, and I almost forgot. So I'm glad for that question. So as we know, the IRS was able to divert stimulus payments to non-custodial parents and send them to the child support office. And for situations where the current non-custodial parent is not remarried, doesn't have a current spouse, when those payments came to the child support office, we were able to send those payments immediately out to custodial parents. When the non-custodial parent filed his or her taxes with a spouse, under normal circumstances, when we get a tax refund from a non-custodial parent that has filed a joint tax return, we are normally allowed at the child support office to hold those checks, those joint tax return refunds, 6 months. And the same rule applied for the stimulus check. The non-custodial parent and their current spouse's stimulus check was sent to child support. And under the normal rules, we were able to hold it 6 months. The Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement, along with the IRS, granted the child support agencies an additional 3 months to hold those joint stimulus checks. They're also called the economic impact payments, an additional 3 months up until December 31st. And they've additionally granted an additional 3 months through March 31st. Now, this was done because the IRS said to the state child support offices, there are about 200,000 joint economic impact payment checks that have been sent to child support agencies across the country. And we need to take some of that money back to pay the current spouse of the non-custodial parent their economic impact payment. So the current spouse of the non-custodial parent, as we all agree, is not required to pay the non-custodial parent's child support. So we've extended, this is really the answer to this question. We extended the hold on those payments to give the IRS the amount of time they needed to reverse and take back the payment for the current non-custodial parent's spouse. I'm happy to report for Delaware, we are actually the only state in the country that recently received a lump, an email or what we call an interface with the IRS, and they have started to adjust a lot of these reversals to take back those, only the portion of the current spouse of the non-custodial parents economic impact payment. So they're taking back the current spouse's payment. We are looking at being able to start sending out those payments that were on hold very soon. And I'm thinking before the end of this month, we should be able to rectify a huge amount of those economic impact payments and to begin sending out those payments to custodial parents within the next, I would say, 2 weeks at the most. So we are working very hard here. But the reason why those payments were on hold was because the IRS needed some time to make the adjustment to make sure non-custodial parents, their current spouse, got their payment, their economic impact payment that was sent to child support by the IRS. I tried to make that, I tried to make it as simple as possible for people to understand because it can be very complicated. But the good news is we've received information. Delaware is the first and the only state that has received the information from the IRS that's allowing us to move efficiently, that's the most important thing, and expeditiously to make sure the IRS gets their money back and the custodial parent gets their money, and that the non-custodial parent, and this is important to me, that the non-custodial parent is credited on their child support case for the next, for the accurate arrears payment. So we want to make sure, I'm going to wrap it up here, custodial parent gets their money timely and efficiently, the non-custodial parent gets credit appropriately on their child support case arrears, and that the current spouse of the non-custodial parent gets their portion of the economic impact payment that we're sending back to the IRS. We certainly appreciate everyone's patience, and we know this is the most terrible time for us to have to hold those payments. It just did not work out right, but we are quickly, and I'm proud to say quickly and working hard to resolve those issues to make sure everyone gets what they're deserved to get during this pandemic. So let's see, we only have about less than 10 minutes, so I'm going to continue to go through the questions. Someone said I skipped a question, so let me see if I can go back and look. Is the NCP offered? Yeah, the disability. The disability question. If someone is disabled, no, they're still obligated to support their child. But whether the payment comes from the Social Security Administration or whether that payment comes to child support and we send it on to the custodial parent, their obligation doesn't go away because the non-custodial parent becomes disabled. So I hope that answers your question. Trying to go back and see. Someone says I skipped their question.
And the lady moved from New York and doesn't have a money, and the husband perhaps she go back and
Oh, if so for okay, I guess it's someone. Oh no, okay. I think I got this question. It was resolved. Someone owes $50,000 in support, and he doesn't work. Don't care how come. Yeah, I was able to get that one. I think I got that one taken care of. Let's see here. Stimulus check, I answered that. Before COVID, I've had really bad service at your office. So it says, I'm going to read this one, and I'm reading all questions. Before COVID, I've had really bad service coming to their office, not the recorded calls, call centers. So at child support, we do, that's the other thing, when we talk about training, someone asked a question earlier about training in our customer service unit. The customer service unit, those lines are recorded. So, we use that as a tool to help training and helping to improve customer service. So that's important to, that we can use that as a tool, and and try to be able to help people become better child support workers, and certainly be better to answer people's questions. So let's see. The next question is, what if you want cancel a court order in the arrears for child support, but the NCP is incarcerated? What is the process? So what if you want to cancel a court order and arrears? So if the non-custodial parent is incarcerated, you could certainly cancel your court order. We could certainly do that. We would probably need a letter from the client in order to take those actions. We are very cautious about canceling child support orders early. If the child's not emancipated, we like to look into that a little bit to make sure no one's being pressured into canceling these child support orders. Once that child support order and those arrears are canceled, and if you want a court order or a child support case in the future, you start over from scratch. But we can help you revoke a child support order if that's something you want to do. With the help of the Department of Justice, we would require probably something from you in writing asking us to take that action. Let's see here. Do I need to file for custody? My child now lives with me in Delaware. I think we already answered that one. Yep. So let's see here. Stimulus check again. I answered that. So here's a question. Can a non-custodial parent who owes monthly support and arrears expect to receive an income tax refund? So in the state of Delaware, we normally, outside of the whole stimulus economic impact payment situation, we have an automated enforcement tool related to tax refunds. So if the non-custodial parent owes child support arrears and over, I believe it's $150, he or she would automatically qualify for them to be submitted to the state's Division of Revenue for a state tax refund. If the non-custodial parent owes over $500 in arrears, we would automatically submit them to the IRS for a federal income tax refund intercept. So the only way to avoid the intercept from occurring would be to pay those arrears off, to make them zero. And we would avoid submitting their arrears to the IRS or the Division of Revenue for a tax intercept of their tax, of their future tax refunds. It's just one of those enforcement tools that we use to make sure that people are paying their child support arrears. One of the things, that I often tell custodial parents, you may have an arrears only case, or you may not be getting child support regularly. I'm always encouraging people to not forgive their total arrears, because once in a while we get a lump sum payment from an IRS intercept or a state Division of Revenue intercept, and you get a lump sum payment on those arrears. So it's important to keep those arrears in place. I certainly encourage people to work together and try to resolve those particular issues. So I'm going to kind of start to wrap up. If you have questions after this Facebook Live event concludes, you can submit them. We will try to respond to people either online or instant message them or something of that nature. But I also want to encourage you to come back next month. The first Monday of the month, we will be doing this again. I really loved your questions. I want to keep those questions coming. If you can listen to me, I'm on WGMD 92.7 down in Sussex County on the third Wednesday of every month. And I'd like to promote this. They have an excellent app that you can get through the App Store or online that I've listened to it up here in Newcastle. I've listened to it where I live in Dover. And you can call in, you can ask questions and listen to me talk about child support with Jake Smith from 10 a.m. to 11 o'clock, 10 to 11, the third Wednesday of the month on WGMD 92.7. But I encourage you to download their app. And then the first Monday of the month from 11:30 to 12:30, we're going to do this again in January. Please tell anyone you know that has a child support case or is interested in about child support to tune in, because this is just one way for us to reach out to you and provide you with answers to your questions. We certainly want to help people, and this is just one of those avenues for us to do that. And we appreciate you, and thank you again for listening. And we look forward to talking to you again in the future. One last thing, social distance, wear your mask, be safe. We're going to get through this together, and we encourage people to follow those COVID-19 precautions. Thank you very much, and take care.